All right, so check this out. This is a story that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit just amidst all the chaos that has happened in the past couple of days. But on his way back from Canada, Donald Trump had a gaggle with reporters, this kind of impromptu press conference. And it's so abundantly clear from some of the questions he answered that he has no idea what he's talking about. They asked him about really important matters like the Middle East, and he's just completely out of the loop. No idea what's going on. So I want to show you some clips from this press conference he had, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But here's the first clip, just exposing Donald Trump's ignorance. He's asked about a statement that was made by all G7 countries, and he hasn't even read it. The United States signed on, he hasn't even read it. Take a look.
Sounds like it. I'll have to look at it.
Joint statement on the Middle East. What changed about that convinced you to sign on to it? The G7 joint statement.
Well, I haven't seen the statement yet, but I authorized them to say certain things. I don't know whether or not they said them correctly, but I think they probably did. We had a good meeting. I think that Canadian representatives were very good. He did a very good job.
How are the training? How was your meeting?
I can't believe that there is a major conflict going on in the world where he himself might enter into a war with Iran on behalf of the United States, get us involved directly, and there's a statement put out by G7 countries, and he hasn't read it. The United States signed on to the letter. He hasn't read it. I have the statement here, and it's the G7 leaders' statement on recent developments between Israel and Iran. It's very short. It reads, "We, the leaders of the G7, reiterate our commitment to peace and stability in the Middle East. In this context, we affirm that Israel has a right to defend itself. We reiterate our support for the security of Israel. We also affirm the importance of the protection of civilians. Iran is the principal source of regional instability and terror. We have been consistently clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We urge that the resolution of the Iranian crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza. We will remain vigilant of the implications for international energy markets and stand ready to coordinate, including with like-minded partners, to safeguard market stability." So a very short statement, not all that long, but all the different countries signed on to it, and Donald Trump hasn't even read it, and he's admitting that he hasn't read it. And oh my, I just cannot believe that our president is so ignorant that when major statements come out like this from a group of countries that are meant to serve as democracies and representative of these really strong countries around the world, he just hasn't even read the statement and admits to not reading it. So let's move on to the next clip where he talks about the G7 again, saying that we had a good G7, we signed a deal with the European Union, even though that didn't happen. So just take a look.
And we did everything I had to do on the G7. We had a good G7. We signed a deal with the European Union, phase one of a deal, but we signed a deal with the UK. And the UK is really great. We're very far down the line with a lot of deals. I mean, look, we're actually finished with every deal if you really think about it, because all I have to do is say, this is what you're going to pay.
Did Secretary
But it's nice to be nice.
Okay, so according to Donald Trump, we're actually done with every deal, if you think about it, because all I have to say is, this is what you're going to pay. So that means that he's not done with the deals. That means he's not even close to being done with deals. Because if you're still saying, well, this is what you're going to have to pay, either you do it or you don't, that's not being done with deals. That's very much still in the negotiation phase, meaning that the United States, with all these different allied countries, all these different countries that we rely on for trade and stability and partnership around the world, there is no deal. He's just kind of making it up as he goes, as he's done so often with the discussion of like different trade deals and things like that with different countries. And this, in the first part of his answer, was a total disaster. We signed a deal with the European Union, but we signed a deal with the UK. I'm genuinely unsure if Donald Trump knows that the United Kingdom is not the EU. Like, the United Kingdom is a country within the EU, but they're not the same thing. I don't know if the president of the United States actually knows that and has a basic grasp of European geography. I don't know. So anyway, let's move on to the next clip where he was asked about his own cabinet secretary, his D&I secretary, Tulsi Gabbard, saying that Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon. And just take a look at what he had to say to one of his own administration officials saying that.
Always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
I mean, he's just, throwing her under the bus. Well, I don't care what she said. is Donald Trump's response to Tulsi Gabbard testifying in March, not that long ago, that Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon. And he just says, well, I think they're very close to having one. I believe that to be a case. Don't care what my own administration is telling you. I'm saying it, so it's true, right? I mean, we have intelligence that actually do suggest that Iran is building nuclear weapons. Apparently, that's according to U.S. intel. But the fact that he's just like so carelessly just throwing his administration officials under the bus saying, well, I don't care what she said, really just goes to show you that, Donald Trump has no loyalty to anybody. He will embarrass you if you say anything that's out of line with what he's arguing. And that's what he just did to Tulsi Gabbard, who has kind of been frozen out of the Trump administration in many ways recently. Next, Donald Trump was asked why he's coming back to Washington, D.C., rather than staying in Canada to finish up the G7 conference, and take a look at what he said there as well.
What can you do in Washington that you wouldn't do in Canada?
Just be a little bit, I think, more well-versed, not having to use telephones so much, because I don't believe in telephones. There's people like you listen to them, So, being on the scene is my...
He just accused the media of listening to his phone conversations. This guy is crazy. I mean, it just seems like Donald Trump has declined so much that he is just believing the most insane things. He really does sound like your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving who wears tinfoil hats. Between him believing that the 2020 election was unfair to people in the media now listening to his phone conversations. What? I mean, what is this guy talking about? And his justification to leave Canada just appears like he just didn't want to be there. That's, in my view, if I had to guess, Donald Trump left Canada just because he didn't want to be in the country anymore. And he knew that the conference was going really badly for him, as we've talked about on this channel. And so he just kind of came up with any excuse to do that, which is, to be more well-versed. And because you guys listen to my phone calls, whatever the hell that means. In this clip, another one from the gaggle on the Air Force One, he called CNN fake news for some reason in the midst of all this crisis that's going on. The media is serving a really important role right here. Independent media like this is serving a really important role. He decides to attack the media. Just take a look.
Anybody else?
Yeah, a couple of people.
Can I ask you where?
Here we go. Who else has a question other than CNN fake news?
Mr. President,
Yeah, so you heard in the background there, like Caitlin Collins is trying to get a question out, and he just says, well, here we go. Anybody else have a question that's not CNN fake news? Still running with the fake news crap that he has done for so long just to evade questions. Caitlin Collins actually asked Donald Trump some really important questions, and so that's why he's avoiding her, just calling her fake news. He finds any excuse to do that. The final clip I want to show you from this disaster of a gaggle, it was only 12 minutes. All this happened in only 12 minutes. He talked about the possible consequences for Iran if they decide to strike Americans, and take a look at what he had to say there.
About U.S. troops or assets in the region at all today?
Great people, they know how to protect themselves.
And when you say better, what's
Oh, we'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard, then the gloves are off so beautifully. I think they know not to touch our troops.
It's just, I just highlight this clip because of this comment here. Then the gloves are off so beautifully. That just sounds like the most Donald Trump comment you've ever heard in your entire life. The gloves are off so beautifully. No specifics, no conversation about what will happen, no like strong statement like Joe Biden or Barack Obama would make when the United States faced adversity around the world. It's just the gloves are off so beautifully. Now, you might be thinking like, okay, this was, on the way back from Canada. It was this morning. What is Donald Trump doing now? As we enter the evening, what is Donald Trump doing now? What is he discussing regarding this possible conflict in Iran? Well, Donald Trump actually just posted on Truth Social. Let me refresh it so we have the most recent post. And instead of talking about what's going on in the Middle East, he just announced that he's putting up flagpoles at the White House. 2 beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House, north and south lawns. So we could be entering into war with Iran. We have all of these different reasons to believe that. Donald Trump himself is kind of flirting with the idea. And meanwhile, the president of the United States is not talking about any of this. He's not giving the American people an update. He's talking about flagpoles that he's putting up. Total disaster of a day for Trump yet again. So anyway, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Drop a like on the video, comment. Let me know what you think about this story. You can listen to the show on Spotify as well if you so choose. The link is in my bio. I appreciate it. But thank you for being here, and have an amazing rest of your day.